Hello again everybody and welcome back to another episode of Down to Earth with Jim. I hope you're all keeping well. I'm down at the allotment today on this rather overcast and miserable rainy day. They say in the UK it's either already raining or it is about to start raining, and recently we've had so much rain over the last couple of weeks. It's been very hard to get down and do some gardening. The ground's been very wet and soggy. But hopefully next week it is supposed to start drying out, so we can start getting a bit more done, getting a bit more of the ground dug up. But today I'm just down to do the March allotment tour, now that we are coming to the end of March and it's going to be April next week. So I need to get the March allotment tour done for you all before April. I can't really do a March allotment tour in April, that would be silly, wouldn't it? So I'm going to get on with doing the March allotment tour for you now. Sit back, grab a cup of tea. I hope you all enjoy. So I have a little bit of a game for you all. Now Gary, the giddy garden gnome, has decided that he couldn't wait any longer and started planting out some tomato plants. Now we all know March in the UK is far too cold to start planting out tomato plants outside. So yeah, not very good. Let me know in the comments below what time you find Gary the giddy garden gnome and the tomato plant, for your chance to win a big selection of tomato seeds from my personal collection. I've got about 35 different varieties of tomato. So yeah, if you find Gary the giddy garden gnome and the tomato plant in this video, let me know in the comments below what time in the video you find him, for your chance to win a good selection of heritage tomato seeds. And before we get into the allotment tour, I'd just like to say, if you like the video and like my content, then the best way that you can support me is by subscribing to my channel, liking the video and commenting. Just let me know what you think of my content. So with that said, let's get on with the tour. So at the front of the plot, the daffodils are up, although they're few in number, as they are the first year, and to be honest, I wish I'd planted a few more of them. There are a couple. But yeah, nothing major. There are a few of them. To be honest, the slugs have been having a nibble at these, as they do with most things. And my favourite spring flowering bulb, alliums. We have a few of those at the front. I really like the alliums. Last year they were absolutely brilliant, just like fireworks. So we've got a few of those at the front. And bloody delivery driver, some topsoil I delivered a couple of months ago, took out all of this edging on the front here, just went straight over it. And yeah, I wasn't very happy with that. It was not very nice about that. So yeah, it was quite aggressive. Anyway, let's carry on. Coming into the plot, we've got a few tulips on the right here in this flower bed. Really long flower bed, which I'm going to be filling with all sorts of nice things. So these will be nice. These are a nice mixture. Can't remember the exact name, but there are a few buds in them. To this little rose bush here, which yeah, was lovely. We had some really nice flowers on these last year. Really big, deep red, lovely smelling roses on these. Got some phlox next to that, which is coming up now. So coming along this bed at the front here, which I've horse manured. I've done a lot of horse manure over the winter, but this stuff's ready to be dug in now. Sorry, I keep zooming in. But our sweet peas are going to be growing up these 3 trellises here. Got a nice mixture by King Seeds, Chelsea mixed, about 9 different varieties. It's raining again. Yeah. So I'm going to try and make this video as quick as I can. Yeah. I don't know what else is going to be put in this bed. To be honest, I'm cramming everything in this year. I've not got much space at all. So I'm probably going to stick, I don't know, courgettes in and stuff like that. I'm not trying dahlias this year. This year I did dahlias in this front bed. And yeah, I never have much luck with them. They always end up being demolished by the slugs. Another new addition to the plot is this pear tree here, which is opposite this plum tree and this lovely apple tree here. Looking forward to the apples on this apple tree this year. This apple tree is called Discovery. That is the variety, and they were just lovely, lovely sweet eating apples. This plum tree here, we got a couple of plums on it last year. This is going to be its third season, just like the apple. So hopefully we get some plums off it this year. We will see. So right behind this front bed here, we have our strawberry cage, which is full of strawberries now. I had to dig up the membrane and build the soil up once again because it was just too waterlogged, and the soil was so heavy clay that the strawberry plants were actually, instead of sending roots down into the soil, they were actually pushing themselves out because the roots couldn't get into the soil. So yeah, I've redone that and replanted some new strawberries from runners, and yeah, hopefully they do really well. So next to that, I need to move all this. This is old trellis. But under here we've got a big massive mound of horse manure. And this is going to be where I'm growing my pumpkins, squashes, things like that. Because I found that pumpkins and stuff like that and squashes do really well in horse manure. They absolutely love the stuff. And in fact, one year I did grow a very large pumpkin, and it was grown just in horse manure. So yeah, I think this is the way to go for me. Because the soil around here is quite heavy clay, this is what I'm going to be doing with my squashes and stuff like that. So I'm probably going to let these trail over here. I've thrown a few strawberries in there, by the way, if you're wondering what they are. I'm probably just going to let them trail over here. I'll probably stick a couple of squashes and stuff in this bed and let them trail, just so this space around these fruit trees isn't being wasted. I want to try and fill and use as much space as I possibly can this year. So moving on from this bed, we have a couple of new additions again. We've got two beds. One of them, well, they're both going to be for asparagus, but one has now been planted up with asparagus, and then this one right next to it is also going to have asparagus in, but I'm waiting for about 15 more crowns to arrive from Marshall's to go in this one. So I'm going to have two beds with asparagus. Hopefully much better than the last attempt asparagus we had. They were just growing in the open ground last time, and the roots just completely rotted because the soil just became too heavy and too watery, too waterlogged, and they just didn't work. But I built these. I did a YouTube video a couple of months ago on how I filled these using the hugelkultur method. So if you'd like to give that a watch, go and do so after the video. So moving on from the asparagus beds, we've got this really large bed in the middle here, and this bed is going to be for our beans, runner beans, and this bed's been manured and it's been dug over. So yeah, in the next week or so, I'm going to be building a wigwam support here all the way along for beans, and then I'm going to use the bamboo canes for those. And then I'm probably going to use up the space around it, so no space is wasted. And we've got some foxgloves here, which I sowed late last summer and overwintered in the greenhouse. And despite the fact that they're one of the most poisonous UK native flowers, they are still getting attacked by the slugs. Ironically, the weeds that are coming up aren't being attacked by the slugs, but foxgloves, yeah, clearly the slugs are not deterred by that. So, and then behind here we've got the bed which we're going to put onions in. We've got a few beds which we're going to put in onions in. So this bed here is going to have onions in, which has been manured, fertilised, well rotted with horse manure, and dug over. Got a fig plant there, which we haven't had anything off yet, actually. If anyone's got any tips and advice on growing figs, do let me know, because I have no idea what I'm doing with it. This bed here, I need to remove these hoops. This bed is going to have onions in as well. We want to grow quite a lot of onions this year. Sowing about 500 or so onions, which I'm going to be going out in the next few weeks. This bed right next to this has our overwintered brassicas in, which I also did a video last September. But spring green and, no, sorry, winter green and April. And to be honest, they've held up quite well despite the really severe frost that we had in December. These were just knocked back to twigs, really, to be honest. I thought that I'd lost them. It got down to about -10 on many occasions. But they seem to be doing okay. Some of them are growing quite tall. As you can see here, they are growing a little bit tall, and that is quite ominous. It's never really a good sign if your brassicas are growing tall. That's a sign that they're going to bolt. So, yeah, we'll see. We might just be picking spring greens, to be honest. It looks like it. They're not going to, I don't know if they're going to heart up or not, but this big bed is also going to have onions in. I may even expand it out further, remove a little bit of this patio, expand it out, and all these beds will have onions in. So, with this apple tree here, another new addition, apple tree, £7.50 from the range, just like the pear tree actually. And there's some, yeah, the buds are opening up, which is a good sign. Moving over here across this patio, we've got our little 6x6 greenhouse. We're in the process of changing. We have 2 beds now along each side. We used to just have this one bed along this side here, and this is what we grew tomatoes in last year. But now we've dug this side and we've made a no dig bed along here. I just need to sort this pathway out, put a border in there, and replace the glass panes. I need to get hold of some of those, and one for the door as well. We had these knocked out by a storm, and I've just not had time to do them. But we've got a couple of grapevines here, which, to be honest, I'm not really that bothered about, to be honest. They're not really doing very well. But last year we got a good few bunches of these grapes, but they were tiny little grapes with big pips in, and to be honest, they didn't taste that nice either. So I'm not too sure if we're going to bother with grapes, to be honest. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how they do. If they come along and they start producing bigger, better grapes, then yeah, that'll be good. But for now, I think this greenhouse is just going to have tomatoes in, like the other 3 greenhouses, but I'll get to that in a minute. Leaving this greenhouse, we have a couple of ponds there, which we've got some nice pond plants which are starting to sprout back now. They're starting to come back. No frogs born in them. There are a lot of snails in them, those water snails, which will do a good job at cleaning the pond, keeping it nice and clean. But yeah, no frogs born. But I only made this pond last August, so I'm not expecting frogs born yet. It's not really that well established yet. So behind us here, we've got this blueberry bush. One of 4. There's some more blueberry bushes at another part of the plot. But yeah, this is planted in ericaceous compost. We'll see how they do. I got 3 small B&Q blueberries a couple of years ago, and they were an absolute disaster. Even though I planted them in ericaceous compost, we still lost them. So yeah, this one seems to be doing much better anyway, so we shall see. We've got another bed right here, pallet collar bed, and we've got our lettuce planted out now. I grew this variety of lettuce last year and they were absolutely delicious. We were picking lettuce for several months We just kept picking the leaves as we needed them, and they were very, very slow to bolt. So this is just a mixed packet of lettuce seeds containing all sorts of different lovely varieties. And I have started, literally just started, putting out a few onions just to see how they do. I'm not doing them all yet, but this is one tray here. They are quite small, some of these though. There were 2 different sowings. Got some newer ones there. So right next to this pallet cotton bed, we've got another little bed here, which to be honest needs organising and tidying. We've got a rose bush in here, which to be honest I didn't plant. It just came up. I think it self-seeded from somewhere, and it just shot up over the course of a year. But I think I'll leave it actually because I quite like roses. It's quite big, very thorny though. We'll see. We've got a couple of lavender bushes there in them pots behind. They were grown from seed during lockdown. So yeah, I'm quite happy with those. So, oh, this is a buddleia, by the way, which I think I'm going to plant in the ground somewhere. A little bit crazy. So right, coming over here, next to it, we've got this long bed, which we grew Brussels sprouts in last year. I think I'm going to grow Brussels sprouts in them again. I have limed the soil after putting well rotted horse manure over it as well. So now usually I would crop rotate, but to be honest, as I've said in an earlier video, I don't tend to do it quite as much. As long as you've not got any problems with disease and you're adding nutrients and compost back into the soil again, I found it doesn't really matter all too much. Some people might shoot me for this, and some people swear by crop rotation, but I'm one of those that doesn't tend to do it quite as much anymore. So yeah, moving over just behind here, we've got 3 pallet collar beds. One has got my overwintering leeks in. To be honest, I was hoping that they'd be a little bit bigger by now. You know, late March. You know, I sowed these, I think it was last July, August, I sowed these. And they were about pencil thickness come autumn time. And they've beefed up a little bit. Hopefully over the next month or so, these really beef out, and then yeah, we can have some leeks. I've had to net these over, surprisingly. It looks like when there's not much else food available for the pigeons, they're actually resorting to eating the leeks. And they can't get to the brassicas. The leeks were, yeah, uncovered. Looks like they are gaining an appetite for leeks as well now. So, yeah, I'm really glad that they don't like sweet peas, because they do like normal peas. Weirdly enough, I don't know why. They like normal peas, but not sweet peas. Anyway, we'll carry on. This is our herb bed in the middle, and to be honest, it's basically just become a chive bed, because there are chives all the way around here and around here. This one's garlic chive though. We do have this oregano, and we do have this tarragon in here, which is coming up. I think there's little shoots of tarragon coming up. Really nice with chicken, by the way. This oregano goes absolutely crazy in the summer, and I have to just keep cutting it back. It just goes absolutely wild. Probably one of the most prolific and easy to grow herbs around, oregano. Yeah, I've never struggled with this plant. I've had it for about 3 years, and it just goes, yeah, crazy. And the chives are absolutely brilliant. I think I'm gonna cut some of them later, actually. Some of those chives. We really like to put those in with our mashed potato. So yeah, we've got a bit of mint, a couple of varieties, English peppermint and ginger mint, as well as some other random mint over there. I don't know what they are, but it's mint anyway. Yeah, always grow your mint in pots, guys. Never put them in the ground, because they will take over an entire bed within one season. Yeah, they don't mess around. mint is no joke. So we've got some thyme, some lemon balm, which to be honest I've not done anything with. Smells lovely though. I've heard you can use it in cooking, but to be honest I've never really tried it. So if anyone's got any ideas for what I can use this lemon balm for, do let me know in the comments, because I'd like to start using it in my cooking somehow. So we've got this rosemary bush, which, yeah, we lost. The soil was quite well draining because it is a Mediterranean herb, but I don't know, maybe the frost was too much for it, I don't know, but I think we'll try again. To be honest, I think I'm going to do another herb bed somewhere, and I'm going to do all like the thyme, rosemary, all these different herbs in it. Leave this bed for chives. So moving on to the last pallet collar bed on the end, we have got our elephant garlic, which we planted late November, early December last year. Slightly late, but it's coming up really, really well actually. It's really sprung up over the last few weeks. Just mulched there with a bit of straw. I thought that the frost was going to get these the really hard frost I spoke about. The tops of these were just starting to sprout when we had that, so I thought I had to cover them with straw, get them protected, and it seems to have worked. So brilliant. So moving over here, we've got more strawberries. Again, not only have we got our strawberry cage, but we also have strawberries in troughs there. We have strawberries in this pallet colour bed. We have strawberries in these two trug tubs here. So yeah, we really love our strawberries. Got some lavage there. A little bit like celery. It's got a really nice taste, really nice smell. Really good in stews. Quite an old-fashioned herbal vegetable. So moving on again, we've got a pure. This is our experimental horse manure bed. And over the past 3 years, I've just built up horse manure over horse manure over horse manure, and it's broken down gradually. And yeah, I grew a giant pumpkin in here 2 years ago. I grew tomatoes and tromboncino squash in last year, and I was really, really happy with the tomatoes that I got from this. I grew an outdoor variety called Mountain Magic, and the tomatoes were brilliant. We actually were picking tomatoes in November from here. But this year, I'm going to be growing squash, probably tromboncino squash, just in here. They seem to really, really like the horse manure, like I said. So yeah, that's my plan for this. We're moving over here. We've got another bed, another big one, just like the one over there. And this one is going to be our brassica bed. It's been limed again, like the sprout bed. I usually lime my bed to make sure it's not too acidic before I plant the brassicas, because acidic soil can lead to club root. So yeah, the horse manure is quite well rotted in there. And the reason I've chosen this bed is because the soil is relatively heavy clay in this. And brassicas don't mind heavy clay all too much. Not as much as other plants anyway. They like their soil to be quite compact. So this is my bed for the brassicas, like the cabbages, the broccoli, and the kaleets, if I'm saying that right, kaleets, which I'm trying this year, new thing. Yeah, they seem to be quite a popular thing at the moment, a new thing. I never even thought kaleets existed up until now, so yeah, they'll be quite interesting. They are a cross between kale and Brussels sprouts, so we'll see how they do. Yeah, ignore the flags. This is part of this project here, which I've been doing. I need to move those. And the new project has been this polytunnel. which I released a video on last week. This is a 3 metre by 4 metre polytunnel by Outsony, budget polytunnel. And my plan for this polytunnel is to grow peppers in this year. I still need to apply a few more battens down the middle just to secure that plastic to the base. Obviously, having the time to do that. I'll probably do that over the next week. But going inside, we've got a no-dig bed going right the way around the edge, which I had horse manure, homemade compost, and then Miracle Grow compost on the top of that. So I need to finish the path down the middle, and I need to apply a border to make it look neater and tidier. But these trays along here, these are our onions and our leeks. These are our leeks. These are our Christmas sown leeks and onions. Well, most of them actually. There are a few newer sowings over there, but these are all our Christmas sown onions. And I'll be planting these out in the next few weeks, I think. They are starting to thicken up a little bit. So, yeah, we've got Ayrshire Craig, Bedfordshire Champion, Magnate, which is the red onion, and we've got Red Mammoth. So, yeah, we've got a nice selection of onions. We want to grow enough onions to last about a year, which is why I've dedicated so much space for them. And if there's any onions left, I'll probably just throw them in the ground, to be honest, wherever I can put them. We've got a few more of our lettuces here, which I need to do something with. So I've put them in here. One, because the greenhouse, there is not really any space on the bench left for them, and it is a little bit cooler in here than it is in the greenhouse. The onions won't really appreciate 30 odd degrees in the greenhouse, which it has been, so I've moved those. So I'm just going to take you down the rest of this flower bed, which we've got a load of alliums. I've actually planted more allium bulbs right the way along, which we won't see anything until next year of those. But we've got allium buds appearing all over the place. So I'm looking forward to those. And I asked in a video a couple of months ago your ideas for what I should plant in this flower bed along the side here, and I've decided that I'm going to plant wildflowers, which will come up and replace the alliums and the tulips. Once they die back, the wildflowers will take over and fill this bed. So I've got a really nice wildflower mixture, which I'm probably going to start raking in the next few weeks. Get that all in. I've thrown a few poppy seeds down here, which I got given. So this end will be poppies, and the rest of it will be wildflowers. So that'll be really good for the bees. Bring a few bees to the plot. It'll also add some really nice colour along this side. This side of the plot looked a little bit drab last year. It was really in need of some colour. So over here I've got a little heritage variety of peach, which a neighbour gave me. Plot neighbour gave me. I'm not too sure what I'm going to get from it. The peaches are actually white, covered in flowers. They're actually white peaches because what it was actually a apricot tree with the rootstock of a peach. Now you can actually see the rootstock carried on growing when the actual apricot tree died. So we've got a dead apricot tree here, and the peach rootstock has actually grown on. So yeah, we're just going to leave that here and see what happens with it, and see if we have any ideas of what we should do with it. It's down along the side of this fence. This is our fruit area. And these batten things here, which I've done, this is going to have netting draped over it. That's my plan anyway. And there are blackcurrant plants along the side of here. I've got a few more plants, blackcurrant plants from cuttings, which I'm going to plant down here as well. We really like blackcurrants. We enjoy eating them with yogurt and stuff like that. Making jams, pies. I don't know what this is. That's been there for some time now. Some sort of ground cover plant. If anyone can identify this for me, it is quite nice actually. I might move this, dig this up and move it, because you know it looks a little bit like mint actually. It's not, but it's a nice ornamental ground cover plant. So further down here, we've got some more rhubarb. This is some more rhubarb which I got given. Just thrown it in there. We've got some gooseberries, a red variety and a green variety of gooseberries. The only thing about gooseberries is that picking them is such a pain with all these sharp bits on them. Now moving further along our fruit bed, we've got this thornless blackberry, which are really nice. These blackberries are absolutely delicious. I do plan on making some sort of trellis similar to them trellises over here, so I can start growing this blackberry on the trellis instead of these bamboo canes. They're not really ideal for, they're just a temporary fixture really. So moving on from that, we have 3 lovely blueberry bushes which a plot neighbour gave me very kindly, and they are very big bushes even after I trimmed them down a little bit. They've been trimmed down a little bit because some of the roots were damaged when I dug them up. So to reduce the amount of stress to the plant, I cut some of the branches back, just because the bush won't be able to keep up with demand. So the roots will not be able to keep up with the demand of all this foliage on top. So yeah, hopefully they pull through. I've given them a really good feed, given them some grow more, bone meal, ericaceous compost, well rotted horse manure, and then I've mulched it nicely on top. So I've tried to give these the best chance. There's plenty of buds on there. Look at that. Covered in buds. So we've got this bed here, which I need to move this. This is just a temporary compost bin. And when we had to clear a lot of things last year, I just made a temporary compost bin, but I'm going to move this. And there's this long bed here, which I'm going to grow leeks in, because this bed is kind of out of the way. You know, it's out of the way, and I can just throw the leeks in there, because leeks occupy the ground for quite a long time. You know, many months. You know, 8 to 12 months they could be in the ground for. So yeah, just compost in there, homemade compost. So in the middle here, we've got our another fruit bed. It's got raspberries in. There's 2 different types of raspberries here. I couldn't tell you what varieties they were though, because they were already on the plot when I came. But I can tell you that there's an early variety and a late variety. So we get some in the summer, and then we get some towards the end of the summer into the autumn. So that's nice. We get 2 harvests of raspberries. We've got our older rhubarb plants here. Got quite a lot here. So this bed is shared with the raspberries. And yeah, we had loads of rhubarb from this last year. We've stuck some more horse manure on there because you really like horse manure. Obviously, I've been careful not to cover the crowns too much with the horse manure because I don't want them to rot. So that is that. I need to wood chip all my paths once again because they're getting really soggy and wet. We're supposed to have some delivered soon, so yeah, I'll be able to have a little top up. So opposite the new polytunnel, We've got our garlic bed, our autumn planted garlic. Now, we lost one row, weirdly enough, just this one row here. Got dug up by mice, rotted, I don't know, something happened to it, but the other rows are okay. So we've lost about 8 garlic from this bed. Nothing too nasty, too bad. But yeah, pink germador garlic. This is just one bed. We've got a few more, which I'll show you in a minute. But my plan with this entire bed, once the garlic is up, I'm going to be putting sweet corn in here. Or probably just be putting sweet corn over here, to be honest, because the garlic will probably be still in the ground growing when the sweet corn goes out. You know, that garlic's probably going to be harvested around June, where the sweet corn is probably going to go in the ground around about mid-May, mid to late May. So yeah, I think they will clash a little bit, but that's my plan so far. Just my plan. Things are always going to change, chop and change. The plan never goes directly to plan. So we're going to come over on this side of the plot, the side which is new last year, and we've got all these four pallet collar beds, raised beds. This one right here, we've got one row of radish in. To be honest, the only thing we're going to be really harvesting really for some time. We are now in the hunger gap when nothing really else is growing. We were going to have some purple sprouting broccoli, but we lost that to the cold weather, and I think the roots rotted, to be honest. We've got one row radish, and we've got parsnip in the rest of this bed. I might even sow some more parsnip in another bed somewhere, because we really liked parsnips last year. We didn't quite have enough, but I've planted them in here. I think some of them are coming up, actually, a couple of them, I think. Now, parsnips do take quite a long time to germinate, so I'm being patient. It can take a couple of months, to be honest, and it can take a while, and it has been quite cold and wet. So anyway, moving over to this bed here, this is going to be where I'm putting my multi-sown beetroot, which are in module trays in the greenhouse, which I'll show you in a minute. So that's where they're going to be going. We've got another pallet collar bed over here, which has got turnips in, which they're actually coming up as well. We've got a few of those coming up. I just threw some of them in. We quite like turnips. Netting, of course, to go over. Behind that, we've got another pallet collar bed, and this is our second attempt of broad beans this season. We did some in the autumn. We planted them out to overwinter, and they just completely got obliterated by the hard frost that we had. They were just reduced to nothing. So yeah, we've planted some for the spring growing instead. So they're coming up. Now we've got a load of these 30-litre buckets for potatoes this year, and this is where I'm going to grow all my potatoes in. Last year they didn't do very well in the ground. The wireworm just completely ruined them. So yeah, we've got about 30 more buckets to fill with potatoes. We've already filled 6 with our kestrel, but over the next week or two we're going to be putting our main crops in. We've got all those all ready, filled with horse manure and old compost. I'll probably put a little bit more fresh compost in there as well, some bloodfish and bone, grow more, stuff like that. I'll really give them some nutrients to do well. More potato buckets along the back there. They're also all ready to go. We've got a next to our shed here. I'm not even going to go in there. Needs a bit of a tidy. I need to get on with doing that. A little bit messy. I've put some carrots in here. Now these are a rainbow variety of carrots. I've decided not to overthink things this year with carrots. I've just thrown them in. and we'll just see how they do. I've found that things sometimes go better than when you just don't overthink things and just throw them in, to be honest. So we'll see how they do this year. I will have to net them over. Or I might just plant onions around them, to be honest, and see if they deter the carrot root fly. We'll see. We'll experiment. We've got this massive cherry tree here, which, blimey, it must be 12 foot at least now. I'm struggling to come to a decision with how I should net this over. I need to net this over because of the birds. Last year they just had everything. They even stripped the leaves down, and the few cherries that were on it, they were gone in them as soon as they turned ripe. So yeah, I'm going to try and net this over, but it is just massive. Look at that. So we've got another pallet collar bed here next to that, containing much more garlic, and these have done much better than the ones in that bed over there. Probably because it's raised more. I think the drainage has been much better in this bed. But yeah, we've got more pink German oil garlic in here. Yeah, there must be 30 or so garlics in there. I'm looking forward to those. So moving over here, well, I don't know what I'm going to put in this bed. Probably courgettes or something like that. And we're going to come over to the big greenhouse now, the big 8x10 greenhouse. It could do with a little bit of a tidy. It's a little bit crazy in here at the moment. This is where we've got a lot of stuff growing in trays now. So we've got kale, got some cabbages there, plenty of broccoli. I need to thin these out actually when I get time. Got some more cabbages here, Golden Acre Primo. Got Golden Acre Primo. We've got some sprouts here, got loads of those. We really like sprouts. We've got plenty of them on the go. Got our, I need to thin these out as well. We've got some blue cornflowers, which will be dotting around the plot, I think. A good allotment flower, a staple really. I can't remember what I put in there. Yeah, I can't remember. I should have labelled it really. I think I put lettuce in there, a second sowing of lettuce, I think, or some sort of brassica. I can't remember. But yeah, I decided to risk it for a biscuit and sow my squashes now. See how they do. I usually start my squashes and my pumpkins in April, but they're really slow to get going for me. So I thought if I start them a little bit earlier, get off to a head start, you know, grow them on in 9cm pots or even bigger pots, so they're a good size, so they're nice strong plants ready to go out. Then yeah, I'll get off to a good start. So yeah, we've got squash, butternut squash hunter. We've got more hunter ones there. We've got spaghetti squash, and we've got tromboncino squash. They're really long, really interesting looking ones. So yeah, we've got a few of those on the go. And then this is our multi-sown beetroot, bolt hardy. Got loads of them, and I sow mine about 3 or 4 per module, and then I leave them until they've got about 2 true leaves on them, and then I just take the whole thing out, the whole clump out, the whole module, and I transplant it. And then what I do then, as some of them start to get a little bit bigger, ready for harvesting, I will pick a couple out, and then I'll leave 1 or 2 from the clump remaining to really bulk out and get bigger. So that's how I grow mine. It is a little bit more faff sewing them into modules, but I feel like I have more control. It's neater, it's tidier, and yeah, I just feel like the germination rate's much better doing it this way, much faster in the greenhouse as well. So that's those. Really satisfying to look at. All them beetroots. Lovely. So over here I've got another tray which I didn't label. I'll know what they are when they come up, but yeah, actually I know. I think that, yeah, it's sweet corn. Yeah, this is all sweet corn. Um, I've sown loads of it. There's like 100 sweet corn plants here. We're gonna have too much. Yeah, these are all sweet corns. I've got the same logic with the sweet corns that I have with the squash. You know, we usually only get sweet corn in like September, which is quite late, really. We want to be getting sweet corn in July or August, so I'm starting them off early as well. I need to water that. We've got some ornamental gourds. Them really interesting mixtures of gourds that you see during the autumn and Halloween on display. We're going to try growing a few of those. That'll be really interesting. And we've also got a load of lupins along here, which I need to put on or transplant. They're going to be going in the bed outside over there, which I showed you before, the one I need to organise. Yeah, got quite a few of those. They're called Blue Javelin. That's the variety that I'm growing of lupins. Now, we've got all our sweet peas here, coming along really nicely. The germination rate wasn't as great as I thought it would be, actually, to be honest. I was hoping for a better germination rate. We've only got about 70% of our sweet peas that sprouted. I planted about 180 and we've ended up with around about 120. There were certain varieties that didn't germinate, but I ended up sticking a few more in just to compensate for the lost. So yeah, I think I'm going to actually pinch out the tops of these soon, and I'll be getting these transplanted out in the next few weeks. Got some more which I've sown in here, which are starting to come up as well. Now along the back here, we have all our black currant bushes, our young blackcurrant bushes, which we took from cuttings last year, which have all rooted now and are all growing away happily. These are going to be going along the fence where I showed you before, the fruit area. Now, I decided to test the water out and move our gherkin cucumbers into the greenhouse. I brought them from home. They were getting quite big for, I needed to thin them out anyway. So I brought them down. They seem to be doing absolutely fine in here. It's currently 17.3 degrees with the door open and the vents open. So, you know, it's not too bad. It'll be okay. So, yeah, my other half really likes gherkins. So I'm going to be growing quite a few of them this year. We're also growing another couple of varieties of cucumber, Market More and Mini Munch. So, yeah, that'll be really, really nice. I'm just going to bring you over here to the other side of the greenhouse. We've got our peach tree, which is called, what's it called? Crimson Bonfire. There's really, really deep coloured leaves on there and the beautiful flowers. Look at the flowers on that. Look at that. Lovely. Yeah, these are going to be really nice. I only got this last year, so it's quite a new tree. Well, it seems to be coming really well. I'm just going to have to make sure I protect these blossoms. If we do get any frosts, protect them. I have got another apple tree here, the same variety as the other one out there, the new one. However, on this one, the only thing with cheap fruit trees is that you can get problems with, you know, they're not always going to be great quality. And in this case, this one barely had any roots on it. So stuck a bit of rooting hormone around the roots, bit of bone meal in there, good compost, to try and see if we can get it to grow. And believe it or not, despite the fact that it had less root than Well, the root was like smaller than that. That was all that was on it really. It's actually growing shoots. It's a miracle actually. I was really surprised that this is growing. Now with this variety, Cox's Orange Pippin, you need two varieties. So you're not self-pollinating. You need two varieties growing together to pollinate each other. So if this one manages to pull through, good indicator of whether or not it's still alive is just scratch the bark, and if it's green, it's still alive. So yeah, we might end up being able to save this. Happy days. And we've got some cuttings of blueberries here. I took these, a kind neighbour plot let me take some cuttings off their blueberry bushes. Of course, this was before I got gifted 3 massive blueberry bushes. So if these all take, we're going to end up with a lot of blueberries on our hands. I mean, I'm not complaining. We really like blueberries. But yeah, we'll see if these take. I took these about 6 weeks ago, and yeah, there's no roots on them yet. But yeah, the leaves are opening up. We'll see anyway. If they don't work, yeah, nothing lost. So leaving the greenhouse and moving over to our 6 by 3 meter polytunnel. Now going into its 4th season. It's holding up really well. So yeah, it's pretty much ready to go really. And this is going to be our tomato polytunnel. Well, I'm going to be growing some tomatoes in that big greenhouse I just showed you there. But they're going to be more F1 varieties like Sun Gold, Shirley, Honeymoon, stuff like that, the F1 hybrids. And all along around here, I'm going to be growing tomatoes. I think one side's going to be Heritage, and this side is going to be San Marzano sauce tomatoes. We're going to make a lot of sauce as well. But we've got 35 varieties of Heritage tomatoes, thereabouts. Now that's a heck of a lot of tomatoes. I think I've got a bit of a problem. So I'm going to have, well, we've made more space anyway. We've got plenty more space to put tomatoes. But yeah, I think this is going to be filled to the brim with tomatoes this year. I threw in a couple of these cabbages. Yeah, that's bolted. Look at that. Yep, cabbages don't like being in this polytunnel. Yeah, I've not managed to overwinter them in the polytunnel. They've just bolted. So we've got our strawberries now starting to grow back, looking nice and lush. Really nice growth on them. We were picking strawberries from early May. I think it was early May, first week of May. We were picking strawberries from these hanging baskets last year. So yeah, really looking forward to those. Got a few more down there in containers. We've overwintered a bit of garlic. Bloody weeds coming up. Look at the... Oh, gosh. This is where it all begins, folks. Never-ending bombardment of weeds. Garlic's coming up nicely, though. The overwintered garlic in the polytunnel. Hopefully it'll be free of rust, being in the greenhouse. We'll see how they do. We've got our 6 buckets of Kestrel secondaries, all planted up now in these containers, ready to go. Now, of course, it is far too early, really, to start bringing our peppers and our tomatoes and our aubergines and stuff like that to the allotment. They're currently at home on the windowsill, all in module trays. Yeah, we've got to fill in the whole windowsill. It's quite crazy. So I'm hoping over the next few weeks I am going to be able to bring these down to the allotment, and then hopefully I can get them planted out in these beds pretty soon. Hopefully. I also need to clean the cover on this polytunnel as well as the glass on the greenhouse. But I'm waiting for the water to be turned back on. They turn the water off during the winter for obvious reasons. They don't want burst pipes. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I actually, one thing I do like to do at this time of year, just to test the water, just to make sure that tomatoes can tolerate conditions in the greenhouse and the polytunnel at this time of year, is I like to just bring one tomato plant or one pepper plant down, sacrificial one, and put it in the greenhouse or the polytunnel just to see how it does. And if it ends up doing all right and thriving, I usually end up bringing the rest of them down after that. So I use one as a guinea pig, and then poor tomato plant, poor guinea pig tomato plant. So I've told you my plans for the polytunnel, but to be honest, I still don't know where I'm going to put the cucumbers and the aubergines. I might grow some outside somewhere. I might even stick some at the end of here, or in with the tomatoes. I don't actually know. To be honest, I think I'm just going to be winging it, to be honest. I mean, I like to plan things, but I mean, 75% of the time, it just ends up going in a different way, to be honest. I just end up doing something completely different. So I'm just going to take it as it comes, really. If I find some space where I can stick something, then I will do just that. Oh, the sun's come out now. Typical. Now that I've finished the tour, the sun has come out. It's supposed to be drying up next week. Hopefully, we'll see about that. But the soil is just so wet at the moment, and really, really heavy and cold. So we really need the weather to improve. So anyway, that concludes my March allotment tour. So I really hope you enjoyed my March allotment tour. As you can see, there's quite a lot of things going on. The allotment is ready to burst into action. Things are really starting to look like there are signs of life now. So I think I'll be doing another tour at the end of April, and I think it'll look a lot more greener and look much more alive then. So that concludes my March allotment tour. I hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, remember to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well, and I will see you in the next one. I hope you all stay safe, and remember, keep on gardening and enjoy it no matter the weather.